For 195 days, our defenders have been defending our country and bringing the victory of Ukraine closer. You watch Jedyny Noviny, my name is Olga Butko. Hello. Two powerful explosions thundered in Kryvyi Rih in the Dnipropetrovsk region. Currently, there are no data on the victims. The head of the region, Valentin Rishchenko, showed the consequences of the night shelling of the Nikopol district. Russian occupying troops shelled the city 3 times with MLRS Grad. 2 people were injured. They were hospitalized. Doctors assess the condition of the victims as of medium severity. In addition, 20 high-rise buildings and 11 private buildings were damaged in the city. 1 house was destroyed. Enemy shells hit a kindergarten, a lyceum and a sports club. Also, several gas pipelines and cars were analyzed in the city. Damaged power line. More than 2,000 families were left without electricity. Emergency teams are already working, says the head of the regional administration. The oil depot in Kryvyi Rih is still burning. Firefighters and a fire engine are on the scene. The head of the regional administration, Valentin Resnichenko, reported. Let me remind you that the occupiers struck with 2 rockets yesterday, around 7 in the evening. There were no human casualties, but a large supply of fuel was destroyed.
Explosions are also heard in Kharkiv. A high-rise building in the Kyiv district was affected, the mayor of the city, Ihor Terekov, said.
There are no details yet. At night, as a result of an enemy attack on the city, an elderly woman died. The occupiers shelled the industrial district of the city after midnight, presumably from the territory of Belgorod. An enemy rocket hit a private house. Another shell fell in the garden near another house. A fragment of ammunition flew several hundred meters and hit a house. There was a fire on 300 square meters. There were no casualties, Terekov added.
I woke up to being thrown by the blast wave. Then, for another 10 seconds, scrap was pouring down. I didn't even hear the explosion itself. I know the neighbor, of course. She is a little over 70 years old. She suffocated under the rubble.
Firefighters dug it out at night for about an hour. Firemen were driving down our street. A lot of earth flew into my yard. Over the past day, the Russian occupiers shelled 3 districts in the Kharkiv region. Residential buildings and farm buildings were damaged. In addition, there were fires, reported the head of the regional military administration, Oleg Sinigubov. It did not pass without victims. 2 men died in Zolochiv. The Ukrainian military shot down 5 of the 6 rockets that the occupiers used to attack our country in the morning. At this time, an air alarm sounded. This was reported by the spokesman of the Air Force Command of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Yuri Ignat. According to him, these were high-precision missiles, and they were launched from Tu-95 aircraft from the north of the Caspian Sea. We have another good result. This morning, the Air Force shot down another K-52 helicopter of the occupiers. The Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant was 1 step away from a radiation disaster due to Russian provocation. This is how President Volodymyr Zelenskyi reacted to another shelling by the occupiers of the territory of the Zaporizhzhia ZNPP. He stated this in an address at the end of the 194th day of the invasion. According to him, the last power transmission line connecting the ZNPP with the energy system of Ukraine was damaged. The president is convinced that Russia does not care about the IAEA report, which is expected today. He is certain that sanctions against Russia should be strengthened at all levels.
This is the second time, due to Russian provocation, that the Zaporizhzhia ZNPP was 1 step away from a radiation disaster. I think the fact that Russia is doing this right now, right on the eve of the IAEA conclusions, speaks volumes. Attacking the territory of the ZNPP means that the terrorist state does not care what the IAEA says. She does not care what the international community will decide. Russia is only interested in the situation remaining the worst and for as long as possible. This can be corrected only by strengthening sanctions. Only by officially recognizing Russia as a terrorist state. At all levels.
Let me remind you that yesterday there was a fire due to Russian shelling of the Zaporizhzhia ZNPP. As a result, the last line connecting the station to the energy system of Ukraine was disconnected. As a result, Unit Number 6 was unloaded and disconnected from the network. It feeds the ZNP's own needs. Energoatom also stated that over the past 3 days, Russian occupation troops have been intensively shelling the area around the Zaporizhzhia ZNPP. Today, the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, presented a report on the mission of IAEA experts to the Zaporizhzhia NPP. This report by Nikopol. The report will discuss the situation with security and guarantees in Ukraine. Grossi will also hold a briefing for members of the UN Security Council regarding the mission to the station. IAEA inspectors led by Grossi visited the IAEA on September 1. The mission was connected with fears of a nuclear disaster due to constant shelling of the station by the Russian military. The visit to the station lasted only 2 hours. On the same day, the agency's general director and most of the delegation left the facility captured by Russia. Later, Grossi said that he saw the key things and assured that the Russian representatives did not influence the work of the mission. I would like to add that the Zaporizhzhia NPP and the satellite city of Energodar have been under the occupation of Russian troops since March 4. There remains a threat of massive air and missile attacks on military and civilian infrastructure throughout Ukraine. In particular, Caliber sea-based cruise missile carriers are on standby in the Black Sea. In general, during the past day, the enemy launched 3 missile strikes and more than 35 airstrikes. He carried out almost 50 attacks from rocket salvo systems. At the same time, in the morning briefing, it was said that Ukrainian defenders successfully repelled enemy offensive attempts near 4 settlements in Donetsk region. These are the districts of Soledar, Zaitsevo, Shakhtar-Butyka and Spartak. By now, the enemy's losses exceeded 50,000 and reached 50,150. Another 350 occupiers were liquidated over the past day. The Ukrainian aviation made 18 strikes on the positions, logistics, command and support points of the enemy. This was reported by the press service of the Southern Operational Command in the night briefing. In the south, the armed forces of Ukraine destroyed 2 missiles, an unmanned aerial vehicle and 4 warehouses. Also, a K-52 helicopter. An enemy attack helicopter was landed in the Novogrigorivka area of U-200B Mykolaiv Oblast. He tried to attack our positions and the military opened fire on them.
Confirmed enemy losses are 86 soldiers, 4 tanks, 12 units of armored vehicles, 4 howitzers, 152nd caliber, MSTAB, MSTAS, 3 guns, 152nd caliber Hyacinth B and Hyacinth S, communication station and anti-tank missile complex, 4 enemy ammunition depots in Berislav, Kherson and Bashtan districts were liquidated.
Another school was destroyed by Russian troops in Donetsk region. At night, the No. 2 Kharkiv gymnasium was shelled. A missile was fired at it. One wing of a 4-story building was bombed and adjacent high-rise residential buildings were damaged. Fortunately, there were no victims. This was said by the head of the military administration, Pavlo Kyrylenko. According to him, the Russians completely destroyed 29 schools in the region, and partially damaged 274. In Poltava, internally displaced persons who lived in schools and kindergartens are relocated to other institutions. Because studies have started in schools. Despite the fact that people were allocated places, proper conditions were not created for them. Our journalist Anna Ruzhin found out what people complain about and who will help them solve the problem. A summer shower was made in the yard of one of the educational institutions. Only 2 people can use them. One enters the structure, the other waters from above. The toilet is not equipped either. You can wash in the nearby educational institution. But we still have to get there. Here is my father, he is after a stroke. It's simple. The toilet should be made for people who are lying down, they cannot walk, people with reduced mobility. We have 10 such people. They are elderly people, they also do not have the conditions to go to the toilet normally. We do not have the conditions for an elementary thing, to take a shower. People used to live in another school, but they started studying there, so they had to move. Imagine the shock of these people when they arrive and realize that they are not expected here. There are no toilets, the director is in shock. There is not enough food. I was surprised by the fact that it is written in the documents, as if all the conditions were created here. Some of the displaced people were offered to move, but there are not enough free places. The school principal is trying to solve household problems.
There are no showers in the school. Found premises for 2 rooms. The city authorities promised to make showers. They promised to make several toilets. But I don't have them today. We are trying to solve this issue in the simplest way. I opened a bathroom that was used only by teachers. It was the only toilet for the whole school. Other bathrooms are not equipped with toilets.
The local government promises to improve conditions for people. However, they are not ready to say when.
In those institutions where it is not possible to take a shower. We provided people with premises nearby, sports halls or sports schools. Because the school is not adapted for these things. A school is a place for learning, not for living. We are gradually modernizing them, buying new booths.
Currently, approximately 2,500 people live in educational institutions in Poltava. 198,000 internally displaced persons are officially registered in the region. Hanna Ruzhin, Maxim Gumarov, TV channel Rada, All National Marathon Jedini Noviny. This concludes the issue. See you in less than an hour. You will be informed further by my colleagues Maxim Zaborovsky and Hanna Homani. Colleagues, you have the floor.
3 minutes later, the Minister of Reintegration of the Temporarily Occupied Territories will comment on this story. The broadcast continues. 3/4 of the population were evacuated from Donetsk region. This was announced by the head of the Donetsk Regional Military Administration, Pavlo Kyrylenko. According to him, currently less than 350,000 people remain in the territory of the region. Most of them do not want to leave their homes. However, it is important to complete the evacuation before the cold weather sets in, Kyrylenko stressed. This time will be extremely difficult for Donetsk region, because, according to forecasts, the region will remain without gas supply. Iryna Vereshchuk, Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Reintegration of the Temporarily Occupied Territories, is now in direct contact with us. Ms. Iryna, hello, glory to Ukraine.
Hello, glory to the heroes.
Mrs. Iryna, you already said on the air of our marathon what to think about the return home to those who left the south or east of Ukraine. Not until spring. How is such a position justified? Is it only with the further danger of war, or with the impossibility of starting the heating season in those regions? And there can be no suitable conditions for life.
Thanks for the question. However, I would like to respond to the story you just presented. I was waiting for the broadcast and saw the problems in Poltava at the school, where there are people with reduced mobility, from among displaced persons. They cannot help themselves. I see that the school principal wants to, but cannot help them. If the mayor of Poltava can't do it, please give me information about this school. Me and the ministry, we will help. I want to make a statement and an announcement. Please contact directly. If you see that the local council or the military administration does not cope, does not respond to your inquiries about needs. Heads of places of compact living, directors of schools, kindergartens, institutions, contact us and we will help. There cannot be a shower, as I have now seen, summer, in such a condition in winter. There cannot be a bathroom for people with reduced mobility like this one. Therefore, I thank you for this story. Please give me information about the school. And now I come back to your question. I really said so, and I will repeat it. The winter will be difficult. It will not be possible to restore the infrastructure, gas, water, heat supply during the winter months. We understand that even if the deoccupation takes place, and we hope that it will happen as soon as possible. This is not a matter of 1 month, when it will be possible to ensure people's livelihood normally. I mean, demining and other vital steps that the government should take. Before people who really want to return to their homes can be settled there.